I have a report to give everybody regarding the legislation that we were talking about when these bills were in committee.
Okay.
And I am happy to say that House Joint Resolution 1048, authored by Eric Roberts, to put ranked choice voting up as a constitutional issue for the people to discuss and as a referendum, that passed out of committee. So we need to make sure that that passes on the floor of the House. House Bill 3156 also passed, which is just a straight bill prohibiting ranked choice voting in the state. That is also authored by Roberts. So we have two chances there. You either have the legislature ban it or the people ban it constitutionally. So both of those passed, and we'll get to choose between those. Now, House Bill 3563 passed, and we need that to pass. That takes the school board elections, puts them over to November.
Need that to pass.
We need that badly. We need to make sure that hits the floor and that it passes the House. House Bill 3717, authored by O'Donnell, did pass out of committee. That does put a photo ID on our voter registration cards. With and using proof of identity. There was a similar bill in the Senate that did not, wasn't even heard in committee. And I'm thinking it's because this House bill was coming up as well. So we have House Bill 3815 by Dollens that came out of committee that prohibits foreign funding of our ballot measures. And House Bill 33.
Yeah, say that one right. Say that one again.
House Bill 3815, Representative Dollens, prohibiting foreign funding for ballot measures. That's very important. House Bill 3325, Clay Staires, only U.S. citizens and bona fide residents of Oklahoma can vote. That clarifies the language in our statutes. That passed the Elections and Ethics Committee, and we need that to pass on the floor too. We need to clarify that only U.S. citizens are allowed to vote in Oklahoma. Maybe that will help us with the illegal driver's license situation.
Hey, quickly, have you written these down? Can you send them to me so I can stick them on the live video when we're done?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, ma'am. I do have them written down.
Okay.
And then what we need to be defeated on the floor of the House and the Senate is House Bill 4127, authored by Swopes, to allow the county commissioners to work with the county election boards to appoint county employees to administer our elections, basically, to allow county employees, people paid by the county, to work as precinct officials. Right now, the precinct officials are your fellow citizens who administer your elections. Why do we want county employees? So that's just somebody that's being paid by the state to come in and administer the elections. That makes absolutely no sense.
Well, this is the same person, Swope, who wants DHS to oversee every homeschooler too. So go figure on that, right?
Well, the same bill, though,
she's a tyrannist,
was passed in the Senate, and it was authored by Senator Haste. Senate Bill 1989 passed out of committee. It is the same bill. So for whatever reason, the Uniparty is together in wanting county employees to administer our elections instead of our fellow citizens, who I just found out from my precinct official yesterday when I went to vote, they get paid $100 a day.
Yeah.
That's not a lot to sit there as long as they do. And in Oklahoma County, what the line is like, taking your machine back to the election board. And we're going to talk about the machines. I found something else out yesterday that is very troubling. I had heard this as a rumor, but I never reported it because I try to verify things before I speak about them. And we will get to that in just a minute. People's heads will explode. Not heard on the floor. And we need to make sure that our legislators know that we want these bills and we need them. They were never heard in committee, even though they were filed. Senate Bill 1374, Nathan Dom's bill to watermark ballots. Senate Bill 2000, which is Dusty Deaver's bill, oath to attest to a physical address when you go to vote. You would have to say, this is actually my address, and sign that under oath before you're given a ballot, considering the way our voter rolls are messed up right now.
Correct.
Senate Bill 2032, which is your absentee ballot has to be returned by hand instead of electronically. They're trying to send out absentee ballots electronically.
Yes.
So if that happens, this would require someone to walk it back into the county election board, which is a very good idea if you're going to send out electronic ballots, which I do not recommend at all. I believe that practice needs to be abolished.
Well, and as a matter of fact, you and I have talked regularly about the fact that we really need to go back to doing absentee ballots the way it was, which is, if you literally can't get out of your house or you're overseas, you get a
I'm
ballot.
getting to that. That was actually legislation that Nathan Dahm dropped in the Senate.
Yes.
That was Senate Bill 2034 to restrict absentee ballots to military and the truly infirmed. That died in the General Government Committee. That did not even get heard. That did not.
Who's the head of the General Government Committee?
Jessica Garvin.
Okay, so Jessica Garvin made sure that bill didn't get heard. Jessica Garvin is up for re-election. So those of you who have heard that, realize Jessica Garvin is up for re-election, and she would not allow that bill to be heard in her committee.
Her committee also did not hear Senate Bill 1659, which we really need. That is Jack Stewart's bill to re-register Oklahomans to vote to clean up the voter rolls.
Okay, so Jessica Garvin does not want to clean up the voter rolls or to make elections in Oklahoma more transparent.
Well, there was an argument, and I heard this from Representative Roberts. He did email me because I emailed him and asked him about this. There is a question about the National Voter Registration Act, but my question is this. That was not written to protect, the rights of people who are here in the country illegally somehow to get on our voter registration rolls and vote, because this re-registration bill would require that you go up to your, that you provide, your ID to get back on the voter rolls. There is also a question about senior citizens. I believe that our county election board officials can go in. Now we have the absentee ballot board that goes in and does the absentee ballots for people in nursing homes that can't get out. They can go in and they can register people and do it that way for re-registration. So the senior citizen argument, I'm not sure about that. I also don't think our seniors like to be treated like they're 2 years old, like they can't do something they really want to do either. I wouldn't make that that argument to them. I know my mom at age 85 doesn't like to be treated like she's a kindergartner. Unfortunately, no. But we don't want to try to create problems before they actually exist, and I think that's something that we could work around for our seniors. But yes, the issue with re-registration apparently has something to do with the National Voter Registration Act. Now, what I don't believe it's actually a problem. There was a court case that came out of Kansas that talked about concerns to that, and we can go into depth with that because I know we don't have time right now at a later date. But Bergstrom's bill, the language only citizens of the U.S. to vote, that didn't come out of committee, but it did come out of the House in another form.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so that was a Senate joint resolution. Okay, so there are things that if they didn't get heard in the Senate, they were heard in the House, but there were things that weren't heard at all.
Okay, and for those of you who don't know, that bills are getting ready to go across from Senate to House and vice versa. So
yes, we are having some votes on the floor, so we need to make sure that we are contacting our representatives to vote for the measures that we need and against the measures. And the calendar is not up. I don't have dates on when these bills are heard. I just recommend everyone, as soon as possible, write your legislator, write your representative and your senator, and tell them to oppose House Bill 4127 and Senate Bill 1989. That is the county commissioners and the county employees being administering your elections. I'm not sure why we need county employees in our precincts as precinct officials. between 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. on Monday, March 4th. Please call the office to make arrangements if you need to pick up before Monday. Please be reminded that you need to plug in the voting device and open the polls on the device as soon as possible after arriving at 6 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Do not wait until close to 6:45 to do so, because if for any reason the device doesn't work, we won't be able to fix it and you'll have people waiting in line, basically. As always, you're very much appreciated. Please do not hesitate to call if you have any questions. Signed, the Secretary of this County Election Board.
Well, I do think that's troubling. I mean, I hate to say that, but I do think that's troubling. I mean, things just aren't the same as they used to be. And for a voting machine to just be sitting someplace without having any kind of appreciable security, I think is really a bad deal.
It's a serious chain of custody issue with our machines.
Yeah.
And while we are told everything is safe and secure, that doesn't sound secure to me, even though I love the people that volunteer to work in our
Oh,
elections.
sure.
I love them
Absolutely.
to death.
And God bless them
They
for doing
normally
that.
do a great job, but the way
Yeah.
our system is set up in Oklahoma, it only takes one compromised machine to infect the entire system. And so everything should be kept under strict lock and key and oversight by our officials until they are in your polling place, you know, until they are dropped off. They should, the chain of custody overnight is a very serious problem, especially with the ways that we know, and we have been told by many experts now in the computer industry who have researched and studied these machines, as easily as they can be compromised. Somebody just hacked into one, using a pen, and that made national news. This is a problem. This is a serious problem. And I know our officials, for the most part, they are all upstanding people, but the question is, if they don't have the security in their home or wherever they're storing the machine, somebody can get into that if they know where they are. I mean, people can make up there are legions of problems with this, and it's the larger counties that are doing this, that are allowing the officials to come in the day before or even before then and pick up these machines and pick up their supplies and materials, and they are trusted to secure them until they get to the polling place.
And you verified this with the state election board.
I verified this with the state election board, and
all right.
I could not believe it, to be honest with you. I literally could not believe that those machines were out of their hands on the day before the election. I said, she said, well, you can't get in and get to a polling place and get the machine on election day. I see that point, but I don't. If we need to if we need to move the election times, if we need to have more people out transporting machines that are either deputies or whoever, the chain of custody needs to be tight on these machines.
Right.
And allowing people just to come in and pick and sign these things out. And our precinct workers, like I said, they're pretty much volunteers. They only get paid $100 to do this, and a lot of them work more than 12 hours on election day. But if someone were to get a hold of a single machine in Oklahoma, it could spell problems for the entire system. And that's just, to me, an unacceptable risk. And there has to be a better way to do this.